Notice, in accordance with the new COPPA regulations, this episode of Quoth the Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content we will feature is sometimes kid-friendly, the context of the episode is to address adults and inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well, rated TV 16 and up. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 29-year veteran writer, illustrator, and editor of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. And today is Saturday, July 17th. Normally, we have a Friday show. We had really bad weather last night or yesterday that kind of knocked out power at my house. So I couldn't do my regular Friday night show, so we're doing it on Saturday night instead. And this week we're talking about a TV series that is from the BBC called Wolf Blood. And it has gone through 5 or 6 seasons, but we're only going to talk primarily about the first 3 seasons and a little bit of extra material afterwards, like webisodes and stuff like that between the 2 or 3 seasons, and maybe a little bit into the 4th and 5th as well, but mostly just the first 3. So let's go ahead and get started with season 1. Wolfblood season 1 was created by Debbie Moon, directed and written by various individuals. The writing was led by Debbie Moon. Executive producers are Gina Kronk, Liz Steele, Spencer Campbell, and Lucy Martin. Producers are Foz Allen and Jonathan Wolfman. I didn't normally I put the list of the cast, and I forgot to do that this week. So just give me a second here. I'll just call it up real quick. Their cast is for season 1 is Amy Kelly, Bobby Lockwood, Kedar Williams Sterling, Louisa Connolly Burnham, and a couple of other people in there as well. But those are the main 4 that were in the first season. And production companies are BBC, Flatiron Film Company, and ZDF-E, and the distributor is ZDF Enterprises, so same thing as the production company there. And this originally aired on the BBC in 2012. Supposedly this was also aired in America on the Disney Channel. I don't remember ever seeing it on the Disney Channel, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there. Season 1 deals with Maddie Smith, that's the female on the cover, and Ridian Morse, that's the guy on the cover that you see there, trying to balance their lives as wolf bloods with their human sides while trying to keep their secret from being exposed. They don't want to use the word werewolves. They call them wolf bloods because there's some sort of genetic thing going on. You're not bitten by a wolf and then transformed or anything. It's just a genetic mutation that causes people to transform into wolves. And they do mean wolves, not a half human, half werewolf, half wolf thing, werewolf type thing in that respect. You're either human or you're the wolf. The star of the show sees Maddie, who lives with her wolf blood parents and family in Stonybridge, Northumbria, England, coming out or closer to her very first transformation as she matures into adolescence. When the new boy, Ridian, arrives at Bradleyton High School, Maddie recognizes him as being a wolf blood as well, by scent, pretty much. Ridian, who lives with his foster family, has only recently started changing into a wolf, having been unaware of wolf bloods prior to his move to Stonybridge. The Smith family claim him as a distant cousin and help him settle in and learn about the wolf blood way of life. Ridian becomes friends with Maddie's best friends, Tom and Shannon, who are unaware of Maddie's and Ridian's secret. Shannon, who has been Maddie's best friend since they were toddlers, has an obsession with a bog beast because she remembers being out on the moors as a child and she saw something, most likely a wolf blood from a wild pack or another pack. It wasn't it wasn't Maddie's parents or anybody like that. And she has been teased and harassed incessantly by her classmates ever since she has told others of her experience. She cannot and will not rest until she proves that what she saw was real. Maddie keeps trying to protect Shannon and the secret both, but one full moon while they are supposed to lock themselves in their family basement, so that they don't get out and run around as wolves, they learn that there's a wild wolf blood and that it may, in fact, be that Shannon and Tom are out on the moors looking for it. And if it's a wild wolf blood, it will not be able to control itself and it will possibly hurt or kill them. So the two kids race to their friend's aid where Rudy confronts the wild wolf blood in his wolf form while Maddie gets their friends away to safety. They do manage to keep their secret safe, but then issues at school began afterwards, as Ridian is falsely accused of destroying the school's art fair, and then Maddie mistakenly believes it could have been her friend Tom, out of frustration for his father not coming to the fair. But in truth, it was the rich kid who accused Ridian in the first place who was the culprit, making him and his followers the semi-regular villains at the school who are causing trouble for Ridian and Maddie. So it comes a combination of adventures of them trying not to expose themselves as the werewolves or wolf bloods, and the events that you get normally with high school drama, more or less. And some of it is okay, and some of it is kind of iffy, but we'll go on with some of the more descriptiveness of the first season. Meanwhile, Maddie finally goes through her first full-blown transformation, and she's struggling to keep her powers hidden during a big test while at high school, where there is a school fire in the chemistry lab with her friend Shannon trapped inside, just as she walks in to apologize to her for their earlier argument about Shannon's belief about werewolves or not werewolves. Maddie tries to help Shannon get out of the flames, but the flames trigger her transformation and she falls to the toxic fumes as well. Shannon barely wakes up and catches a glimpse of Maddie's partial transformation before passing out again herself. Rudy gets help from Tom and a teacher to get the girls out. Mr. Jeffries is the name of the teacher. And after they get the girls to safety, Shannon tells Tom, who in turn meets up with Maddie and says that Shannon believes Maddie is a werewolf, which is too close to a guess that Maddie can handle. She's like, oh no, they know my secret. And it forces a rift between the girls as Maddie is too scared of the consequences of being exposed. And this goes on for pretty much half the season as the girls are trying to figure out what's going on. Soon the group is on a field trip, and Maddie is stuck with her schoolmates in a creepy old castle in Lindisfarne Island on the night of her first full moon transformation. Now, understand, it's not about your first transformation. It's about the first transformation, the first new moon, the first dark moon, the first full moon. Each level of the phases of the moon give them different levels of abilities and stuff that they can and can't do. And Shannon wants to test her theories and believes that Ridian is in on the secret. That maybe they're both wolves. Of course they are, but Tom is like, no, they're more likely as they're dating, because even though they're supposedly distant cousins, that's practically not being related at all, type thing, according to Tom. And Shannon says, well, they could try the Occam razor's theory, which is that the simplest explanation is usually the right explanation. Well, the simplest explanation is that they're dating, not that they're werewolves, but, whatever. In the end, Maddie and Ridian do sneak out to transform into their wolf selves on the beach and roam the tunnels, but they almost get caught in their wolf forms by Shannon and Tom. This puts even more strain on their friends' relationships as Shannon and Tom feel that Maddie and Ridian are hiding something from them. As their adventures continue throughout the weeks of the season, during the dark moon, Maddie and Ridian have lost all their wolf blood powers, and the lack of connection to the moon also makes them incredibly tired and weak. Thusly, Ridian passes out during a drama class, and he is taken to a hospital to have a blood test. Maddie, Shannon, and Tom go to the hospital to visit him. Tom and Shannon go to see Tom's mother, who is Ridian's doctor, but Maddie passes out too, and then both of them have blood samples taken. Of course, if they get their blood taken, they can find out that their DNA isn't normal and that they're not human, that they're something else. So she's freaking out, and she convinces Ridian to try and steal their blood back so they can prevent their secret from being discovered. And that turns out to be a harder task than she thinks. This is probably the worst episode of the season. They fail to get the blood test. The blood test has already been done and everything else, and the results are already back by the time they get to trying to get to their blood and everything. And it turns out that because it's the dark moon and their powers are more or less subsided out, their genetics don't show up as being werewolves. They show as normal humans, which I think is stupid because that doesn't make any sense. Your DNA is your DNA. My DNA changes with the phases of the moon. That doesn't quite work for me. But okay, I thought that was rather dumb. It's not the last time, but it's basically an easy way to try and explain them getting out without being exposed, as far as I'm concerned. And it's not the last time that the characters are exposed and they get out of it without any reasonable explanation to get them off the hook, unfortunately. But that was the worst one, I thought, of the group. Another episode later in the season, Maddie's got a cold or sinus infection, and so Shannon gives her an herb pill to try and make her feel better, only unbeknownst to everyone, it contains wolfsbane, which makes her go into an immediate transformation, and Ridian has to try and lock her into Shannon's bathroom until Maddie can regain control, which she can't do because it's just, it is what it is. So Shannon and Tom think they're just messing around, and Shannon was wanting to go out and patrol for the beast again. So Ridian and Tom go with her, and Maddie ends up escaping the bathroom and goes hunting for the nearest source of meat, which of course is Shannon's bait for the beast. But they go through some other crazy stuff as well. And there are other adventures that put Ridian, Maddie, and her parents at risk as well. But the real reveal at the end of the season is that an out-of-town beast hunter comes into town and tricks Shannon into joining him, and he has irresistible bait to catch the beasts. And it turns out both Maddie and Ridian get captured and tranked, with a trank gun, by the beast hunter, who thinks they're just wolves, but as wolves are very rare, assumed extinct in the region, he cages them up, and he's going to take them and do whatever he's going to do with them. And Shannon thinks this is wrong, of course, or realizes that this is wrong, and she tries to stop the hunter, but he still gets away at first. But one of the assistants to the faux beast hunter says, "You know what? This is BS, and I'm going to help you stop him." And so they go ahead and they stop the guy, and they free Maddie and Ridian, but they don't know it's Maddie and Ridian. They think that they just freed a couple of wild wolves. The next morning, when the two young wolf bloods wake up from everything and figure out what happened to them, they try to thank their friends without giving their secret away. But Ridian realizes that with them potentially exposed, he has to leave with his bloodline pack, his birth mother, who's come into the series, and his younger brother that he didn't know he had, as the season closes. My overall thought for the first season, it's a good season, but at times they do some overly obvious things and then some incredibly dumb things that just don't work. Like I said, the whole blood drawn during the dark moon so that their wolf blood DNA doesn't show up in the testing just did not work for me. And I imagine that some older viewers will complain about the fact that the wolves can all basically change back and forth from human to wolf form while clothed and back again with their clothes on. Personally, I would say let that go. It's a preteen teen drama, and nudity isn't on the agenda, shouldn't be on the agenda. So, okay, we'll deal with it, just let it be. The season did receive a Royal Television Society Award and a, a Banff Rocky Award for Best Children's Drama. Those are British and Canadian awards. It's rated PG-13 or PG rather, uh, maybe TV-14 type level, and I gave the first season 4 out of 5 stars. So it is a little bit above average show. Now, second season, again, same people behind it. Um, they add a new cast member to the show, or well, a few of them, but the main one they add to the show in the second season is Leona Vaughn, who plays a character named Yana, and she is the daughter of the head of the Wild Blood Pack that Ridian's mother and little brother are part of, and who he left to go live with in between seasons 1 and 2. And for whatever reasons, it's not really that well explained. Ridian took Yana into town to see what human life was like because she wanted to see what human life was like. And that was a no-no apparently, and it put him in real problems with the pack leader. The pack leader basically wanted him to die, and so they strap him to a rock to be just basically sit there for a month or so, a fortnight, and just waste away from the elements more or less. And his mother knows that he won't survive that, so she frees him and tells him run and just get back to human life and don't come back. And Ulrich, who's the name of the pack leader, he and 2 others chase Ridian back to society, and they end up confronting Maddie and her parents and stuff. But Ridian is pretty much kept in safe. But it brings in Yana as the daughter becomes ordered to come to the school, so and try and talk Ridian into coming back to the pack so that Daddy can kill him. Only she doesn't know that Daddy's going to kill him. She just knows that he's like, well, we got to bring him back and give him forgiveness or whatever. But the intent is to kill him. So anyway, Ridian makes his way back to Stony Bridge, chased by the 3 members of the Wild Wolf Blood Pack that his biological family belongs to. Again, Ulrich is the leader. Again, he intends to kill Ridian. At school, Maddie and Ridian face these wild wolf bloods with the help of Tom and Shannon, and they leave without killing or capturing Ridian. But that pretty much sets the table for everybody for the season. Not to be thwarted, Ulrich sends Yana under the guise of having been exiled from the Wolf Blood Pack, pack, to spy on Ridian and try to get him to come back to their pack. Only the plan backfires as Yana falls in love with the human world and instead joins Maddie and Ridian at school and their pack. And I put that loot in quotations of the 2 of them, meaning Maddie and Ridian, and their friends Shannon and Tom, who are human. Eventually, the plan is revealed, and Ulrich does capture and tries to kill Ridian, which makes Yana turn on her father, and she and Maddie team up to protect their friend from Ulrich. Unfortunately, there are other forces at play as well, including a fellow student who also thinks Maddie and Ridian are werewolves, and he breaks into the Smith's home and grabs evidence that would it's a chew toy or a piece of meat that they feed on, chew on with the when they're in the wolf form, and he turns it over to biological specialists, and they have proven that the Smiths are in fact werewolves or wolf bloods. And so Maddie and her parents are forced to leave everyone behind and flee the country at the end of the season. Now, what I thought about this was there were several times that Maddie and Ridian should have been revealed, and the writers conjured up some screwy explanation as to why they get away with not being detected. And so it was kind of both gratifying and annoying as hell that this was how they were going to expose the truth and the consequences of them being exposed. Worse, it does mark the end of Maddie on the show, and honestly, Maddie's the whole damned reason for the show. Amy Kelly, really, as the focal character, everything revolved around her, and the other cast members just, not that they're not great actors for what they do and what they're given to do. They all do their jobs very, very well. But when you basically say goodbye to your lead character and then try to make another person the lead character, it usually doesn't work, and it doesn't really work for me as we go into season 3, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I just think you're just going to do irreparable damage to your show whenever you remove a primary focal character, and it is an incredibly bittersweet finale. I'm not going to go through all the highlights of the season as much as I did with season 1. I do think the Yana character is cool, and I think there's a lot of well-done things in the season, but the departure of the lead just takes the sails out of the show for me overall. It's still a very good show, though. I still give it 4 out of 5 like I did season 1. But now we get to season 3. And again, it's the same people, pretty much. It's just that we don't have Amy Kelly as Maddie anymore. Ridian is the lead character, and Yana takes the place of Maddie, and they kind of splinter who's the lead character between the two, which they kind of did with Maddie and Ridian before as well, but Maddie was just, everything was still focused through Maddie's perspective. This is more split writing, where it's omniscient, as opposed to everything coming from one person's perspective, so to speak. Season 3 begins with the introduction of a new group called Segolia. Last season, it was said that Maddie and her parents would try to find the wild wolf bloods, now that Ulrich's not part of the pack and everything like that, and learn to live in the wild. But because the actress who plays Maddie, Amy Kelly, chose not to return to the show, she says that she went to finish university. Other people say there was other reasons why she left, but who knows for sure. They just wrote her whole family out of the show, never to be seen again on the TV show. And they claimed in the story that they were given new identities and shipped off to Canada from England. Thus, now the lead is Ridian, with Yana a close second character. And it's about these two who are trying to learn how to be alpha pack leaders, as Yana becomes the pack leader of the Wild Bloods after her father Ulrich is exiled, I should say. And she ends up losing the pack after being wounded, and a rival female wolf takes over while she's trying to heal with the help of Ridian and friends. Meanwhile, Ridian's trying to cope with the loss of Maddie, who was his one true love. And of course, they didn't say it to one another until the last episode of season 2, of course, when Maddie's leaving the show. But anyway, he's still trying to be the quote-unquote leader of the remainder of the group between him, Tom, and Shannon, which, again, the glue that held them all together is Maddie, who never returned, so you can kind of see how this is going to work. Shannon gets an internship with Segolia, and she gives Yana and Ridian's DNA to a research guy at the Segolia, who claims he's going to use it to make a cure for cancer. And instead he uses it to create a cure that transforms all wolf bloods powerless forever. And of course, he captures Yana and Ridian and all the Wild Blood Pack and other werewolves that he can. So can Shannon, Tom, and the doctor who was going to expose Maddie to the world last season, and a few other friends, and I use that term kind of loosely, stop the Mad Doctor in time? Well, my thoughts are this. Look, I like the cast. but the show just falls apart with the whole Segolia and the Mad Doctor cure and all the pseudo family drama between Rydia and Yana's families and the Wild Bloods. And the show just isn't even half as good without Maddie in the show. And I think everybody knew this because at the end of this season, the actors who play Rydia and Shannon and Tom, which are the rest of the original core cast, they leave the show too. So apparently, like I said, there's 2 or 3 more seasons after this. Only now the focal character becomes Yana as she moves to the city and works for Segolia. Now, I think the actress who plays Yana did a great job in her role in season 2 and 3. But the producers certainly were not doing her any favors by shifting the entire show to be around her without any of the other cast members, with a whole new cast and a whole new direction that really had nothing to do with what was done before. So I'm not remotely surprised that there doesn't seem to be any DVDs available for seasons 4 and up in the U.S. market. You can get them apparently online. I guess they'll play in the U.S. I don't know, but anyway, season 3 I only gave a 2.5 because it's just that hokey compared to the first 2, unfortunately. Now, there are several episodes, as I told you earlier in the show, that give you additional backstory. There's like 8 or 10 different shorts featuring Yana as she runs the Wild Blood plaque between seasons 2 and 3 before she gets shot and brought back into the main cast during season 3, which sets up the events of the season. There's also a stop-motion web comic online, which takes place between seasons 3 and 4, where Yana is sent as a member of Segolia to help a dying old Wolfblood find his peace before he dies. Meanwhile, Rydia, Tom, and Shannon all go to Canada and visit Maddie and her family for Christmas. I call bullshit on that because I don't buy for 1 second that Shannon and Tom's parents are going to let their kids fly to Canada to go see their friend for Christmas. Most people want to have their kids home for Christmas, number 1. But they've never even written Shannon's parents in the show, hardly at all. I don't even think I remember seeing an episode with Shannon's parents in the show. And the relationship with Tom's family is so screwed up and unresolved. His parents are divorced. His dad's got another family. He's got a sister who's ill and stuff like that. They never really develop those elements of those characters like they do the Wolf characters, which I think is one of the weaknesses of the overall show. But anyway, with his family being all broke up like that, I can only imagine the parents going to be fighting over which parent he's going to visit for Christmas holiday. And he's not going to say, well, oh no, I'm going to Canada. It's just not going to happen. Worse, this is the only resolution to the Maddie Rydian relationship that we're given, is that he gets to go to Canada and visit her, and we never see Amy Kelly on the show again. And I just thought that was really sad. For the actress, I thought I would have liked to have seen her get a better send-off. And, just for the fans of the show, I think they were probably disappointed that they never got their comeback from Amy. And part of the reason I think that is because all throughout season 3, they made false promises. At the beginning of season 3, the doctor who had exposed them, the Smith family and several Wolfbloods, Segolia said, okay, we're taking all your research and you can come work for us, but, you're not going to be hunting. We're not going to let anybody hunt the Smiths anymore. And that meant theoretically that Maddie could come back. And they say that in the show, but then you never see her. Never hear mention of her. They don't even do, simple things like a phone call or an email or a letter from her at all. It's like, well, no, she just moved to Canada, has a new identity, her and her family, and they can never talk to you again. And I guess that does happen when you go into witness protection sort of thing, but I don't know. It just seemed a little bit wrong to me. I felt a little bit cheated, and I'm pretty sure the fans of the show probably did too. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about seasons 4 and 5. Understand I have not seen them; they're not available on DVD. I can only go by what I've read of the plots and a few glimpses of things on YouTube. First off, it took them over 2 years to get from season 3 to 4, probably because they lost the entire main cast at the end of season 3 and had to figure out what they were going to do, if they were even going to be able to continue the show. Change to making Yana a fixer for Segolia. However, in her introduction to her Segolia partners, I just read the plot rundowns and it makes me blanch. I was not impressed at all. Again, I do think that the actress who plays Yana, Leona Vaughn, does a wonderful job in the character of Yana, and I'm sure that she does her best in seasons 4 and 5 as well. But having Yana go live in a major city when she's a wild blood, working for a company that she has been personally victimized by, her whole wild wolfblood pack was cured by the madman that was working for them last season, and are turned pure human, just about. I think there's like maybe 3 members of the pack that are still wolves. So it's like, I don't really think that this makes any logical sense that she would even think about working for this group or be headed in anywhere near that kind of direction in her life. That's just my opinion. On the other hand, granted, where else can she go? The writers have already destroyed her pack, so she can't go on the search to recover them because they've already been decimated. They're no longer anything but human. And, yes, there's still people she cares about and everything, but I think she'll probably feel like she failed them, and stuff like that. So I don't know. It just didn't feel like it needed to be continued. She's not doing anything with the original cast since they all left the show, and I just feel like maybe the BBC should just call it quits once the lead cast left the show. I think that probably was the place to call it, and said bye bye to it at that point. So there you have it on Wolfblood seasons 1 through 3. I would recommend certainly the first 2 seasons for teenagers, a little bit early preteens, maybe 12 and up type thing. I think they would enjoy it. Adults can enjoy it too. I'm not saying that, like I said, I enjoyed the first 2 seasons. Okay, it's a little bit above average for what it's supposed to be. But like I said, they really went off the rails with season 3 and afterwards. So take it with, take it as you will. So that is all for tonight. And we'll be back on tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon, barring any bad weather, for a live draw, because I didn't get to do a live draw today. So I'll do my live draw tomorrow afternoon. In the meantime, if you want to reach me, you can reach me on Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, at Twitter at LewisBrightRaven2, on DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven if you want to see some of my artwork. You're watching Quoth the Raven on YouTube at Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, or you might be watching on Facebook, but the replay is available on YouTube. And if you have any questions for me, you want to ask about commissions, you have other things, ask me questions about my credits or whatever, what I think about certain goings on in the industry, whatever, ask me at Quoth the Raven LBR72@gmail.com, and I'll try to answer your question on air. And if I don't get back to you on air or via email, try me at lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com, because maybe I missed your question. On Mondays, we usually have comics, news, and reviews. Wednesdays, we have What Did You Get This Week, where I talk about what I bought at the comic shop or what I got in the mail from crowdfunding. Thursdays and Friday nights at 9 p.m. is our usual. One night will be roundtable talk. Usually Thursdays and Fridays is usually our genre night discussion. Next week, the genre night discussion will be about the DC television series Pennyworth, about Alfred Pennyworth before he was Batman's butler, where he worked as a secret agent, apparently. Now, I don't know if we're going to flip flop next week for roundtable and genre night or not. I have to talk to the artist in question or the creator in question, who's supposed to be my guest, and see what's what. But I think that what's going to happen is I will do genre night on Thursday and roundtable talk on Friday this week. But we'll wait and see. And of course, live draws are on Saturday and Sunday. Usually just Saturdays, but sometimes on Sundays. This week it'll be on Sunday. So if you like this video, or you think others might, then hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from this channel. As always, the Raven thanks you for your support. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one, everyone.